You love to hear the story again and again of how it all got started way back when. The monument is right in your face. Sit listen for a while till the name of the place.
MC Shan is not a name that always comes up in the old school hip-hop discourse, but like most rappers from the 90s in New York, he has a place in hip-hop history. His biggest hit was The Bridge, which became an anthem for people from Queensboro.
And then he strolled along one day, and then he walked into a girl named Shantae. Third line, you know it's me, MC Shan, ha ha, in the place to be.
This song was also the spark that would lead to a variety of diss tracks from the very beginning of his career. These diss tracks were exchanged amongst artists from New York, which had to have made it a very interesting time for anyone from there keeping up with it all. MC Shan would go on to have a few beefs at some level or another as his career continued, and we're taking a look at them in this video. MC Shan versus LL Cool J. These days, LL Cool J is one of those people you may see hosting an award show or appearing on a talk show. He's got a well-documented ongoing acting resume too. Like many people who made the transition he has, he started as a rapper. His one-sided beef with MC Shan began when MC Shan took issue with how his song Rock the Bells used production elements from Marley Marl Scratch, which was produced by his fellow Juice Crew member, Marley Marl.
My name is MC Shan. Let me rock this rhyme only if I may. It's directed to my man LL Cool J. Your brand new jam sure does sound sweet. You rock the bells, but you stole my beat.
However, Rick Rubin was actually the one who produced LL's track. He spoke on this on a platform called Te Uruhu Speaks.
See?
Right.
But it wasn't actually LL. It was Rick Rubin. But being young and it was the game of hip hop, the first thing you do is go after the rival. Okay, so what it was is Marley Scratch. Boom, boom, cat, boom, cat. And you can go back and listen. Marley Scratch and Rock the Bells has the same beat. Now, back then, we were so original that we wouldn't steal each other's beats. We wouldn't take, if I said a rhyme close to yours, I'd change it. We were that original. That's why artists of my era, everybody sounds different. They do different stuff. And you can just keep going down the line and not find one that you can put and say, ooh, you know? Definitely. And so with that, it was just, man, this hip hop game is crazy as hell. You know what I mean?
Right. So then you dropped the beat biter.
Right, I dropped the beat biter on him because here's how he got the beat. We was on a Jerry Freisen tour, and we went to Ohio. And one day, L said, "Yo, Shan, come listen to my new song." But we out here on the, you know what I'm saying? We doing the same thing. I was swole-headed. He was swole-headed. I listened to it, but I didn't pay it attention. But then when it's on the radio, rock the bell. What? He stole my beat. You rock the bells, but you stole my beat. And that's what it was, you know? It was like the same kind of situation with Chris. Now, when I did make that Beat Biter record and LL didn't respond to it, you never heard me say, "Oh, I killed L in a battle. He never responded." You can't say that. Never was one. You know what I mean?
MC Shan's track, Beat Biter, was actually the B-side to The Bridge. But we'll get to that song in a second. LL never responded to Beat Biter, but his issues with him would spill over to the industry side of music too. Both artists were one of the first people to make music that leaned into the more sentimental side of rap. Those from the era can speak on how this was something LL got flack for, but at the same time, many people liked it too. LL's first song in this lane was called I Need Love, and MC Shan's song was called Left Me Lonely. He speaks on what happens with this situation on a platform called The Real Gully TV.
Left Me Lonely was out first, right?
Okay.
And it was a business decision on Russell's behalf to pay off radio stations not to play Left Me Lonely.
Right.
So it looked like I Need Love came out first.
Okay.
But it didn't work. The world already knew that Left Me Lonely was out before I Need Love.
Right.
So I was like, really, I don't like saying, usually the Bronx dudes always, them uptown, they'll be, I was first. I'm just saying it. I was the first one with a rap love ballad with TJ Swan singing on it.
Right.
You know, and you couldn't hide it from the world because that was back in the days when a hip-hop song came out. Every hip-hop head was at the record store going to just pick the album up, reading the credits and looking who did it.
Right.
So you couldn't make I'm Bad album, make I Need Love be first before Left Me Lonely, which was on the Down by Law album.
Right.
The listeners also created their own tension between the two artists for something that is trivial, but image and identity are everything when you're a rapper. This beef was over something you've probably seen several artists from this era wearing, a red Kangol hat. MC Shan sets the record straight on this situation too.
Could you elaborate on the history between the red Kangol and you and LL?
Basically, the fans caused that animosity.
Okay.
Because some of them would call me LL or something like that, and it's like, I got to distinguish myself from LL.
Right.
Being that his I Need a Beat was out first, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
But it still was the dress of the day, so I adapted it at the same time as him.
Okay.
But now we were the only two in the music business looking like that were actually making records.
Okay.
Mikey D wore Kangols and shit like that, but Mikey D wasn't, he didn't have his records out and none of that.
Right.
Big shout to my man Mikey D. But to distinguish me from everybody else who wore the Kangos, the red Kangos, I wore 2 mismatched shoes.
Right. This beef would fizzle out naturally, and Marley Marl would go on to have production credits on every song on LL Cool J's critically acclaimed Mama Said Knock You Out album, MC Shan vs. KRS-One. KRS-One is a rapper known for his lyrical prowess. Hailing from the Bronx, he was part of Boogie Down Productions, aka BDP, with Scott LaRock. His group had a beef with MC Shan's group called the Juice Crew. This beef became known as the Bridge Wars. KRS-One and Scott LaRock were a part of the birth of hip-hop in the late 1970s and 80s. Even when the genre was in its genesis, people had their opinions on what was and wasn't good within it. People like Mr. Magic, a well-respected New York DJ, had authority and control over what would and wouldn't be played on the radio, which went hand in hand with quality approval. KRS-One and Scott LaRock found themselves under this approval magnifying glass.
KRS-One and Scott LaRock. Yeah. This is how we barge in. Yo, this is Boogie Down Productions. KRS, Scott LaRock. Here's our we're performing right there. Like this. So obviously Mr. Magic is like, who are you? Get out of here!
And at the same time, Mr. Magic was also supporting a number of MCs that included Master Ace and Craig G and Big Daddy Kane and all these other folks that were collectively just called the Juice Crew.
We leave frustrated. Magic dissed us. He wouldn't even give us the time. He wouldn't even. Who do you think he is? Now, somewhere along the line, we get the impression that Mr. Magic said our tape was whack, whack, whack. He heard it and said it was garbage. I said, garbage? MC Shan is garbage? So I went back to my shelter, sitting amongst 600 men, bugging out. I'm sitting on the edge of my bed, I'm writing South Bronx, South Bronx, South Bronx. So my issue was what MC Shan said in the record. You love to hear the story again and again about how it all got started way back when. The monument is right in your face. Sit and listen for a while to the name of the place. The Bridge. The Bridge, the Bridge, the Bridge, the Bridge. Queensbridge. I said,
MC Shan dropped The Bridge in 1985, and it was produced by Marley Marl. Don't forget, these two were in the Juice Crew together. The song is one of the most recognizable songs from the origin days of hip-hop, with many fans citing the intro as iconic. KRS-One's disapproval of The Bridge may have been seen as him doing too much in today's slang. From his perspective, MC Shan was saying hip-hop itself started in Queensbridge.
You love to hear the story again and again of how it all got started way back when. The monument is right in your face. Sit and listen for a while to the name of the place.
However, this was not what he meant at all.
The Bridge. And then what exactly led KRS-One, which I guess it was Boogie Down Productions at that point, to drop South Bronx?
for the simple fact he always taking something that he don't know nothing about and talking about it. He done said, oh, hip hop started in the I said, let me tell you a little story about where they come from. But I guess that was his niche into the game. So you can't blame him for doing it, you know what I'm saying? But if he listened to it, you will hear me say, let me tell you a little story about where they come from. The bridge, the bridge, where I told the story of who I watched doing this. You know what I'm saying? And in reality, there were a lot of other people doing music before the Bronx, or at the same time as the Bronx, Brooklyn, with Flowers in them. You know what I mean? They were doing stuff. And so by him saying South Bronx, I've heard that it actually started in the West Bronx, but that's not for me to be a scholar and talk about. It's none of my business. All I know is about what I was talking about in Queensbridge.
So KRS-One's seemingly unnecessary response track called South Bronx dropped in 1986 and was produced by his fellow Boogie Down Productions member, Scott LaRock. You may have actually seen KRS-One perform a portion of this song and not realized it. He performed it at Hip Hop 50 Live in 2023 at Yankee Stadium.
Many people tell me this style is terrific. It's kind of different. Let's get specific. KRS-One specializing. Only use this type of style when I choose it. Party people in the place that be KRS-One owns it. Boom! You got dropped off MCA because the shit you wrote was whack. Yeah, you think that hip hop had to start out in Queensbridge? Come on. They popped that shit up in the Bronx, they might not live.
While cited as a response track, and it is, there was another underlying factor to it. Remember when we said KRS-One and Scott LaRock got dismissed by Mr. Magic? That was the true root of the response. Check out this conversation from DJ Red Alert, another New York hip-hop legend.
Before I started Union Square, there was a record that came out of Queensbridge by my man MC Shan, who also under the care of Marley Marl. He came and made that record called The Bridge that represent Queensbridge.
The Bridge, right? The Bridge. Queens, you quiet over there? We just sitting back in the cut. Okay.
Yeah.
We want to see if this is historically correct.
So he made this record. Now, mind you, these people from the Bronx went ahead and answered that record. Now, I'm going to tell you deep why they answered this record. This group one time was called 24/7 on an independent label, Sleeping Bag, on an independent label. Right. And the record, and when that record was put out, Mr. Magic at that time, when he went back to BLS, he dissed the record. As he dissed the record,
Scott
LaRock and the guy by the name of Chris, who is KRS-One. So when they heard that record, The Bridge, that represent, for Marley and for Magic, they said, we're going to answer back with that.
So their motive was ulterior then.
Huh?
Their motive was ulterior. No question, son. They wasn't even coming out like what they said on the record. That's not why they really stopped.
Roxanne Shante also corroborated this story too.
Then Boogie Down Productions started to have issues with y'all.
Because Boogie Down Productions wanted to be members of the Juice Crew and were not allowed.
Aha, I didn't know that.
Yes.
Okay, so KRS-One and all of them actually wanted to be down with Marley Marl.
Right. They wanted to be part of the Juice Crew, and Magic took their record and broke it on air and said no. Because that's how he would tell people if they could be down or if they couldn't. So he cracked their record and was like, I don't like it, I don't like it, I don't like it. And then before we knew it, they were like, oh, so since we can't be part of the crew, we're going to go at the crew. And this is how we're going to do it. And so that's when they came in.
Okay, because then at one point, MC Shan dropped The Bridge.
Yes. And they felt that would be the best way to attack it, would be you saying that hip hop started out in Queensbridge. When it didn't. It started up in the Bronx. But he never said that it started out in Queensbridge. He was just telling our Queensbridge story. But that was the leeway to get in.
After hearing this song, MC Shan responded with "Kill That Noise." In comparison to today's scathing disses, these lines seem very tame, but in 1987, things were obviously quite different. Still, within this song, MC Shan and Marley Marl have a brief moment where they talk about how KRS-One misinterpreted the bridge at the beginning of all this.
Yo, Shan, I didn't hear you say hip hop started in the bridge in your record.
I didn't. They wanted to get on the bandwagon.
KRS-One, along with Boogie Down Productions, responded with "The Bridge Is Over," and this track is one of the most celebrated disses of all time. KRS-One name drops MC Shan and Marley Marl multiple times and drops other names too. No subliminals, all direct shots. Even the production sits in the slightly eerie lane because of its piano notes.
You see me coming in the dance with the spliff sensi, down with the sound called BDP. If you want to join the crew, well, you must see me. You can't sound like Shan or the one Marley, because Shan and Marley Marl and my rhyming like the gay. Picking up the mic, man, them don't know what to say. Saying hip hop started out in Queensbridge. Saying lines like that, man, you know them can't live. So tell them again, me come to tell them again. Tell them again, me come to tell them again. Tell them again, me come to tell them again. Tell them again, me come to tell them. Manhattan keeps on making it, Brooklyn keeps on taking it, Bronx keeps creating it, and Queens keeps on faking it.
Producer Said G broke down how the track was formulated for Vlad TV.
We did that before the Critical Beatdown.
Okay. And, you know, the standout songs on that album was like South Bronx, The P is Free, Criminal Minded, but the song that really, really took off was The Bridge Is Over.
Yeah.
Tell me how that song came together.
Interesting. Because like, you know, Shan had just came back with Kill That Noise. So Scott called me, he said, yo, we getting ready to go down to the studio. Chris got an idea. It's called The Bridge Is Over. We gonna knock it out. So when we got down to the studio, the engineer came out and informed us that he couldn't do the session. He had booked another session that he forgot about, and he apologized. So we got our heads down, and Chris go, well, what time the session starts? And he goes, in another 45 minutes. So Chris go, well, can we work until they come in? And he goes, yeah. So we come in the studio, we're like flying around. You know, I take out the SB12. Chris puts in the cassette. And you know, he got I forgot the name of the record where that doom, 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 it was a Jamaican record. Doom, 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 doom. He put it in, he said, and he had a little, the stock sounds of the SB12, you know, the weak sounds of SB12 used to come with, the stock sounds, he had those, and he was like, yes, Ed, just program that beat. And he went in because he was going to play the piano live, which he did. So he had to rehearse that. So he was in there doing that. And I put the mic on the console. I said, Chris, we can't use those weak ass drums. This is a diss record. We got to hit him with something hard. So I pulled out my sample disc with the Impeach the President sounds on it. And I hooked up the beat, you know, and then Scott was there when I was putting the cymbals in, the crashes. Scott was like, we need more of that. You know, it was the one thing, and we knocked it out in 30 minutes. We was done in 30 minutes. We had 45 minutes, we finished in 30 minutes. He did the vocals one take. And like you said, that was the biggest noise maker, 30 minutes.
This was a long beef, but it resulted in MC Shan and KRS-One squashing it. And if you don't believe it, there's a commercial with them calling back to it.
All right, fellas, no rhyming below the belt.
Whoop, whoop. Sound the alarm, and the bridge said spikes the bomb. Blowing up the spot like I was nitro gliss. And who's supposed to knock me out position? Chris?
KRS-One comes with strike 2 when Shan is through. Second strike, Shan sees triple strikes within his eyesight. At strike 3, lyrical verse dispersed to obey your third.
Before we move on, we'd like to say rest in peace to Scott LaRock. MC Shan versus Big Daddy Kane. This was a one-sided beef, but it shows that sometimes even your people on your own team don't like you. MC Shan had his own issues with Big Daddy Kane, simply because he was a new member of the Juice Crew. The fact this was happening while he was in the midst of an actual beef with KRS-One and Boogie Down Productions just adds another layer to the situation. Big Daddy Kane spoke on this with Vlad TV.
But MC Shan didn't necessarily care for me at the time.
But what do you mean by he didn't care for you?
I think it was the type of thing where I guess Shan was just uncomfortable with a new artist being down. Because, you know, there would be situations where we had a show to go to and Fly Tie only had one limo and, you know, they're telling Shan what time they coming to get him, and he might make a comment like, you know, nah, I drive my car because I know y'all gonna have a new with you, you know, and stuff like that, you know. So he had, you know, he had like a funny attitude towards me. And KRS-One, when we were in Canada, we ended up battling all the Canadian artists. Me, KRS-One, Biz Markie, Cutmaster DC, and somebody else. Like it became a US versus Canada thing. And that was the first time KRS-One actually heard me rhyme for real, because he only heard me doing funny rhymes with Biz. So that's the first time he heard me rhyme for real, and KRS-One bought me a beer, told me I was dope, and him and Miss Melody were the ones that helped me move out of my mother's house. Like I remember like yesterday, me and Chris carrying my mom's couch down the stairs, and Miss Melody had the TV up under her arm, and we going to my apartment where I moved into in Canarsie. So me and KRS were actually friends, you know, and Shan, you know, me and Shan didn't really speak. So when they beef was going on, you know, I just basically stood back. And by time, I think it was when KRS dropped The Bridge Is Over, then that's when Fly Ty asked me to get involved. He was like, yo, I need you to end this, but don't tell Shan. And I'm like, you know, I'm not getting in this. I'm like, that's between them two. I'm like, your man don't even speak to me. So, I mean, that's between them.
Additionally, Big Daddy Kane actually used a beat that Marley Marl produced that was intended for MC Shan. In the clip, Big Daddy Kane doesn't sound like he did this with animosity, but considering the previous story he shared, one can only wonder.
You know, and I mean, me and Mark, we had already worked together on the first album. The Young Gifted and Black track was something that I had stashed in Marley house. It was a beat that he did for Shan that I had stashed.
Wow.
Hidden from Marley. I'm like, I'm gonna use this next album.
Really?
Yeah. So, yeah.
And how do you think Shan or Marley didn't pull it out and use it?
Marley couldn't find it.
Oh, okay.
I moved the disc somewhere else.
Oh.
Yeah, like Marley had gave Shan one of my beats, a beat that I did. Marley gave it to Shan for his album.
Okay.
But I didn't say that was okay. But I didn't really mind because I remembered him playing like that Young Gifted and Black beat, saying that, yo, I'm gonna get this to Shan. So I was like, well, yo, nah. I'm like, yo, I ain't tell you can get that to Shan, so now you owe me a beat. He like, all right, no problem. You can go. I'm like, all right, I already know what I want. Okay. So when he went to the kitchen, I took the disc and put it somewhere else in another stack, you know? Yeah.
Okay.
This situation fizzled out naturally as both artists went on with their careers. MC Shan versus Marley Marl. MC Shan himself said his back and forth with Marley Marl was not a beef, but we're still including it here for the simple fact they were a well-known duo that ended up not getting along for a time. Also, it's always enjoyable to hear about how something really went down from the perspective of the people actually involved in it. Earlier in this video, we saw how Big Daddy Kane said MC Shan had issues with him since he was a new member of the Juice Crew. In this clip from 2012, we see Master Ace talking about how MC Shan had an issue with being on the song The Symphony, which we know was produced by Marley Marl and has verses from Kool G Rap, Craig G, Master Ace, and Big Daddy Kane. But MC Shan shares what really happened, and it goes back to his issues with Marley Marl.
Marley collected everybody, and he said that he wanted to go to his crib in Astoria, Queens, and do this record, the last record for the album. And Shan was supposed to be one of the MCs. Well, MC Shan basically said, you know, to Marley that he felt like, he said this on the side, but Marley told us later what went down. He was like, that he felt like he planned himself to be on the record with all these new jacks. At that point, Kane didn't have no album out, G-Rap no album, Craig no album. And he just felt like, you know, he was the man at that time. Shan was the top dude on the label, on Coachella Records at that time, and he felt like him being on that record was he felt like he was belittling himself to be on a record with these new dudes. So he fell back.
I heard all about Ace saying that, but yesterday my friend Barbara, she threw that up on my page, and I looked at it and I was like, whoa, hold up. So it is true that he said that I said that. But see, what y'all gotta understand is I knew Marley Marl, and I've done songs with him and that I didn't get paid for. And so I can understand Ace for listening to that crap Marley was telling him. But if y'all know me, I was never one to say nothing on the side behind your back. If I felt something about you, I was gonna say it to your face. Kane's album came out before mine. My album was supposed to drop before Kane's album dropped. But instead, since Kane was the new cat on the label, I had a little bit of popularity already, so forget about it. Let's put Kane out first. If I was so much of a sucker, like they saying on here, then my album would have dropped on Warner's first before Kane's. You dig what I'm saying? And address that right there with far as making that record. I already knew, because I've done things with Marley, and by the time we did that, I already was wishy-washy with Marley. As far as the symphony was concerned, yeah, we was at the shooting for Marley Marl's In Control Volume 1. You dig what I'm saying? But at that time, I didn't tell Marley that I wasn't going to do that record for the simple fact I knew Marley had a trick all the time. Let's go make a tape. Let's go make a tape. Let's go make a tape. Then all of a sudden it become a record. And now you ain't getting no money for this record that you so-called made. I mean, there's a lot of records out there that I don't know about overseas that just Marley had on his tape. And I hear about it hundreds of years later, that, oh, you got a record out overseas, blah, 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 on Hot Chillin' or whatever the name of that stupid label is. You know what I'm saying? So as far as me getting on this right here, I know y'all saying that's 10 years later, but the internet is forever. And 10 years from now, somebody gonna see that. And they gonna think that I was a sucker. You dig what I'm saying? But if I was Master Ace at that point, I wouldn't have mattered to me whether I got paid or not, because that's how he came off. And it wasn't because of Shan didn't want to be on that record that Ace got a spot. Ace got a spot because he held his own. Because I'm guaranteeing with him being on the record with G-Rap, Kane, Craig, if he couldn't hold his own, he would not have been on that record. So Master Ace, big shout to you for holding your own. But all that Marley told y'all was lies. I never said that about not wanting to be on the record with New Jacks. The whole point is Marley did sucker stuff. All right, and so I already was up on that. I already did Marley Scratch, didn't get paid for that. Probably a couple of other things, you know what I'm saying? So when it came time for the symphony, it was like, yo, let's go make this tape. You know what I did? Like he said, I jumped in my Audi 5000, sped off, went home and got some puss, okay? You listen to In Control, it's like nothing but, yeah, that's Marley's album, but it's a whole bunch of artists on it. How many of y'all got paid? How many? Oops. Master Ace wouldn't be who he is today. And so I'm happy that I wasn't on it, that Ace got to get his shine. Because G, Craig, and Kane, they was already on the rise coming up. You know what I'm saying? And if y'all want some real true hip-hop stories, since people want to tell lies on me, I'm going to dispel a couple of lies for y'all right now. All of those joints y'all thought Marley Marl produced, let me tell you something. Kane, G-Rap, Biz, all them bring their own beats. They bring their own beats to the studio. Marley threw it in the sampler and put his name on it. Go ahead, let me find something else out on the internet that you told a lie about. And I'm gonna tell some more. You understand?
Then, Marley Marl responded to this video.
Oh, I'm touching on
something very, very old. First of all, let me just start this off. To all the Juice Crew fans that have been fans of the Juice Crew and loved our legacy for all these years, I'm real sorry that you have to see this go down. You know what I'm saying? To the other kids who don't know who this dude is in the background, this is MC Shan. He used to be like one of the top rappers in the 80s down with the Juice Crew. You know, he made a record called The Bridge about a place that he wasn't even from, and we let him prodigy that for real. You know what I'm saying? It's like 25 years later with this symphony story. But to be honest, who really gives a f? Who cares? It's like 25 years ago. Master Ace made that video like 4 years ago. You have 4 years to say something, and nobody said nothing. It's so funny. And as to Cold Chillin', you know nobody was getting paid back in the day. We was making joints. This is what it was. Thanks, Marcus D, for having my back on that, because you was there. You already know. We just trying to get in the game, so he's making joints all the time. You know what I'm saying? And as for me not making the records, come on, man. I could give you an L love on that. Come on, son. You see what happened to all the artists after I wasn't producing they no more. So you already know. I ain't got to go there. I get to them every day on the radio. My skill level's right there. People see where I'm at. So I doubt anybody believes that bull. You know, this just comes from years of bitterness, abuse. Drug abuse and bitterness don't mix.
I gotta start it out like Marley did. But check this out. This is what I want y'all to know. This is not a beef, which people are trying to take it to and, you know, make it what is something that it's not.
As we said, MC Shan did not call this situation a beef, but he continued to explain why he was doing what he was doing.
And as far as to address Marley now, because I'm just not going to let people say anything about me. As far as him saying that I'm not from Queensbridge, and I'm not Queensbridge, this is my birth certificate, okay? You understand? And what does it say on the bottom of there? It says 4008 10th Street. 4008 10th Street. I'm a third generation from Queensbridge. You understand? I'm third generation. You dig what I'm saying? But like I'm saying to y'all, this series that I'm doing is not to downgrade anybody. I can't take nothing away from Marley as a producer. Yes, he's a great producer. He knows what he's doing. I learned how to produce from him. You dig what I'm saying? And as far as you want to sit back and talk about drug use and this and that, you introduced me to crack cocaine. And if you're going to sit there and assassinate my character, why not add yourself to the mix? Because most of the time while I was sitting there sniffing and smoking cocaine, you were sniffing and smoking cocaine with me. So why don't you address that issue and don't just try and put it on me and try and say bitterness and drug use and blah, blah, blah. Because on that note, all I can say to you is, I'm not bitter about Cold Chillin' because I produced one of the greatest albums ever. Went #1 in 7 countries at one time. Did more numbers than anything that Marley Marl has ever done. But I'm not, like I'm saying, I'm not downgrading I'm not assassinating his character, but I'm just addressing things that I feel need to be addressed to these younger artists that are coming up so that their story doesn't become my story 25 years later. And even with all the drug use, I'm still flyer than you. You know what I'm saying? And this is not a beef thing. This is just me trying to set the record straight.
Now, we fast forward all the way to February 2024, and MC Shan tells Panda Chop News where they currently stand.
Relationship with Marley Marl these days?
We good. Me and Marley make money behind the scenes a lot. When they call for Queensbridge, like the record that the record companies got, we never used that. We don't use that one. Television shows and things like that call for that record. We use one that me and Marley made. We made our own bridge again to where nobody gets no money off of that.
Wow.
We circumvented that whole thing. And so I used to be the one talking crap about Marley because if I want to get a reaction out of you, I'm going to talk shit because that's the way it's going to make you come to either approach me or you ain't going to approach me. So I'm going to talk shit to get to what I need to get. If you want to talk about it, son, yeah, I'm saying this about you and so that's my way of, yo, son, what's up? But me and Marley have talked about things, and it's like, yo, it was neither one of us. Just like they put things in the way to make everybody look at each other. We're supposed to be a team, but they put things to say, well, Shan, Biz is selling better than you. Well, Shan, Kane is selling better than you. Kane, Biz is selling better than you, right? And they break up the camaraderie. And so everybody thought Marley was jerking everybody. Marley wasn't the one doing that. It's the record company and how it was. Marley doing what he do. Marley was getting paid as a producer. And if you know anything about producing, that's where the money is. And Marley was getting paid for producing me, paid for producing Shantae, paid for producing Kane, until they went on their own and did their own things and whatnot. But that's where he got all his breath from. And that showed me that if you really want the money in this, Shan,
Warner Brothers done dropped you. You have no way of recouping your record career ever. What are you gonna do? I'm gonna go find a white boy to do reggae that's from Canada.
Yeah, definitely. Snow was real helpful with that. But I'm glad that you're talking about this and saying that you guys were able to talk things through and work things out, right? Because
go ahead.
Yeah, I was saying that I'm glad that you guys were able to talk things through and work things out, because over the years there's been some back and forth going on between you guys, and it had the fans a little confused about what really happened. I know that he was saying that, oh, you're from Brooklyn, you're not really from Queensbridge. You pulled out the birth certificate and said, what does that say right there?
He knows.
MC Shan is an artist that's been in connection with many artists that are in the pantheon of artists from the days of the birth of hip-hop. In fact, with The Bridge and the beef that ensued after it, he's in that pantheon himself. The Bridge Wars were an excellent example of how beef could stay in the booth and people could take pride in their respective crews and boroughs for the spirit of the game of hip-hop. MC Shan did have his flaws as he was coming up, but nobody is perfect, and he's grown from them naturally. His legacy in the hip-hop world is one that will always stand the test of time. How'd you like this video? Let us know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this one, check out these other ones popping up on the screen. Help us out by liking, sharing, and commenting, and subscribe for new videos every week. Thanks for hanging out with us, and as always, we'll see you in the next one.